tomorrow if something happens to me, that entire amount has to go to my family. If nothing happens, I'm happy. I don't. Now you don't have money, but eventually you'll be having money, right? So once you start getting money, you should be completely set to not waste any more time and be set to invest your money in the right places. Start reading up books. We have the entire world in our smartphones these days. YouTube, Instagram, a lot of creators these days. Everyone is providing quality content. So I basically think of having 6 months of my salary, not after my expense, but 6 months of my monthly salary as an emergency fund. It will be there in my savings account or in the fixed deposit, not anywhere, no confusion about that. At least when you are reaching that 30 to 35 stage, I'll parallelly start, investing in a personal health insurance. Obviously, it might not be a top priority right now because you have a backup, but once you start, so basically if you earn 50,000, the credit card, the bank where you have your salary account, they will not give you credit limit more than 50,000. So treat your credit card as your debit card. So look at how much money that you have beyond your spending, right? You earn 50,000. You might be spending on 2 EMIs, right? Apart from credit card, you might even have to, take care of your parents or your wife or your children and all that. Health insurance, most of the time corporates do take care of it. But the problem with corporate insurance is most of the time it's very basic.
There are people who say you can use only 33% of your salaried account. If you are earning like close to 1 lakh rupees, just 33,000 is what you should spend on credit card. So is there any certain amount or certain percentage of ratio where we should only spend on a credit card just to have a proper financial discipline, just to regulate the financial discipline?
Okay, so it's a very personal thing. So I don't believe in these rules, 80-40 rule, 40-60 rules. I am not a very rule-driven person. So basically, if you earn 50,000, the credit card, the bank where you have your salary account, they will not give you credit limit more than 50,000. Ideally, unless you have been having an excellent track record of all, paying back your other loans, slowly upgrade to 50, 1 lakh, 150, 2 lakhs and all. For a beginner who is getting a credit card, and if he has say 50,000 in his bank account, he is not going to get a credit limit more than 20,000 on a proper, nationalized bank. So controlling that is not. I don't think it's going to be a problem because the bank only will not let you spend, because eventually bank has to get back the money, right? So he'll not give you a 1 lakh credit card if you don't have that earning capacity. So that part bank only takes care because he is scared that you will run away. So eventually if you end up getting a upgrade because you paid back your education loan properly, you have high CIBIL score, so you got upgraded to 1 lakh, but you are earning only 50,000. The same rule that I spoke in the last question. So treat your credit card as your debit card. So look at how much money that you have beyond your spendings, right? So you earn 50,000. You might be spending on 2 EMIs, right? Apart from credit card, you might even have to, take care of your parents or your wife or your children and all that. So if you're earning 50,000 and after all that after all your spendings, you have say 20,000 left. So I would consider that 20,000 as your credit limit, your extreme high ceiling of the limit.
Okay, super. So just to have a note, we are not endorsing any sort of credit cards. It's up to you to buy it or not.
I am a fan.
Yeah, even we are a fan. I mean, we are a fan. We are not endorsing anything here. So just to summarize the conversation, my last question would be, people say a lot about investment, stocks, index funds. We have spoken about a lot of things, right? But before all these things, I consider 3 top priority things, which is life insurance, which is second is the emergency fund, third is something which is we can save for ourselves and then get into the investment. So what are all the things we should consider before getting into the investment rule? Because we see a lot of people planning for tomorrow. When you don't have a plan for today or the immediate tomorrow, you don't have there's no plan in building a future, right? So what are all the essentials to get into the investment?
Okay. Ideally, I think this should have been the first question because you have spoken about all other
all
things.
The other factors, yeah.
So basically, this is a very good question. So first thing that you have to do while you are, completing your studies or you're just getting into corporate, like I said, start reading up about things. Start having solid knowledge about what are the investment options. Now you don't have money, but eventually you'll be having money, right? So once you start getting money, you should be completely set to not waste any more time and be set to invest your money in the right places. So for that, financial literacy is the most important thing. Start reading up books. We have the entire world in our smartphones these days. YouTube, Instagram, a lot of creators these days. everyone is, providing quality content. Consume those content, read up about it. If you have any doubts, reach out to me or any of your favorite creators, or just Google about it, right? First is setting up your knowledge. Second is the emergency fund. That anything can happen, right? We keep our WhatsApp statuses like, so we tend to keep this fancy WhatsApp statuses, hope for the best but be ready for the worst. But a lot of us are not ready for the worst, right? So we just had a black swan event in COVID. So it might happen in future. So having a emergency fund is absolutely necessary. So I basically think of having 6 months of my salary, not after my expense, but 6 months of my monthly salary as an emergency fund. It will be there in my savings account or in the fixed deposit, not anywhere, no confusion about that. Not in some equity where, or something with, if I need money tomorrow, I need to be able to withdraw it immediately, right? That's the whole fact of emergency fund. I'll not put the pressure of, growth on it. Emergency fund's role is to protect me from emergency, right? So I'll keep that aside. 6 months, right? It can be 4 months if you have a decent amount of background, and if you say that, my job is stable. It's personal, right? So you might think my job is stable. So 4 months is fine. Some people might say my job is not stable. I have a lot of people depending on me. So for them, I would advise, keep at least 1 year of savings in your account or fixed deposit where, even with a small fine, you can withdraw it immediately. 1 year of 6 to 1 year of emergency fund is necessary. And next step is life insurance and health insurance, right? Health insurance, most of the time corporates do take care of it. But the problem with corporate insurance is most of the time it's very basic, right? So when you go get admitted yourself, that's when you start knowing about the clauses. People might say you have the room rental capping is there, the disease wise capping also can be there. So most of the times the corporate insurance are very basic. And other thing is, for example, you are dependent on the corporate, you didn't quit your job, you are getting retired at 55, right? At that time, if you break your corporate insurance and then you get a personal insurance, so at that time you'll be 55 and you might be having a lot of pre-existing diseases, right? So for the next 2 to 3 years, for those diseases, you will be having waiting period. So if you have high cholesterol at 55, so for all the heart-related diseases, you might not get coverage for 3 years, which is your high-risk period, right? 55 to 58 might be your high-risk period compared to 25 or 30, and that time you might not be having a cover. So that's why I personally, what I'll do is, even if you're not going to do it now, at least when you're reaching that 30 to 35 stage, I'll parallelly start, investing in a personal health insurance. Obviously, it might not be a top priority right now because you have a backup, but once you start making some money and you're settling in, I'll also have a parallel personal health insurance. Third is life insurance, which is, basically, if life insurance works, it's very simple, right? If you unfortunately, something happens to you and you pass away, so who's going to take care of your family? So it will act as a duplicate of you for a few years for them to handhold them to, steady themselves, steady your family, right? So I would look at life insurance as a pure life insurance. I will not, there are a lot of, investment come insurance these days, right? I am not a big fan of it because for me, it has to do its role of being a cheap life insurance policy. Tomorrow, if something happens to me, that entire amount has to go to my family. If nothing happens, I'm happy. I wouldn't mind, the wasted premiums. I would say, get your knowledge sorted, upskill yourself in terms of finance, get the basics right. Second, build an emergency fund once you start working. And third, think about, life insurance and health insurance depending on how much the family is dependent on you, and, yeah, that's it.
Right. Thank you so much, Manu.
Thank you, Navneet, for having me.
Sharing your ideas on investment and the future goals and fixing messed up finances. Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you so much.